super short update on the car. It's currently charging because the battery's flat, but I'm going to take it back to mine today just to fanny around with it a bit more. I have also been buying things because there was no floor mats in the front. In the rear I've got the original Rover rubber ones, which is really nice to have, but unfortunately the rubber has kind of been digested and gone really weird, so it's like it's melted or something. That one's particularly bad. I've obviously got my steering wheel to fit. I also, so I bought new floor mats, just shite Halfords ones, but they're better than nothing. And then a more interesting purchase, which is completely unnecessary, but they're very rare, and when it came up on eBay I thought, meh, screw it, buy it. It's a Japanese spec rear number plate panel, or rear lamp panel, so it's a lot narrower. I don't actually know whether I'm going to fit it. It's kind of unnecessary, but yeah, I don't know, we'll wait and see. I quite like it. It'll just make it look a bit weird at the back. Not perfect, but they do actually fit reasonably well. These old ones, it's really strange what's happened to them. It's like they've just turned to rock hard plastic, so I'll keep them, but they can't really go in the car because every time anyone treads on them they just break up, so it's quite annoying. Just tried to start it, but it's still not charged enough, so I thought while I'm waiting I will try and combat some of the other annoying things with the car. One of which is because this car was standing a long time, all the doors are like that, and all of these, when you first open the door, it's like because it's all very old and basically needs treating. So I found this very old and suspect looking bottle of what used to be Auto Glim, but is now unbranded vinyl care stuff, so that can go on all of these rubbers. And they've got the tiniest of dregs of an old Canon WD-40, so at least I can lube the door hinges, and then once that's worked its way through I'll find some white grease and shove that on there instead. Where's that one? Could even come out of the cam, I don't know. It's so it's so rusty on that. It really needs proper grease. At least the hinges have got some on them. It's just the latch stay thing that's knackered. And that's done absolutely nothing, but never mind. It's always when you're cleaning stuff you notice things because you happen to be looking in an area you've not seen before. I've been cleaning all these rubber trims and I had noticed this. I can't even remember whether I'd pointed out in a video or not, but you can see where somebody's tried to nick the car. This is well before I had it, but you can see like where they've put a bar through, a Slim Jim or something, to try and get to the door lock. So they've damaged the rubber seal, dented it here, got these dents along the roof. They've actually been touched in red, so it must have been ages ago. Dent here. So it's a good job that they didn't get it, because these cars were stolen a lot, because back then in the 90s they were a piece of piss to nick, which is probably why it's got this additional immobiliser in it. But yeah, it makes it for an even rarer car, because this could have been joy-ridden and burnt out somewhere. Didn't need very much charge at all, and it's running, so I am now gonna properly get used to driving the car, work out what else it needs. I've also remembered that driver's door window doesn't work, so that's going to be fairly high on the agenda. But I've also got other things to play with this weekend, so I'm just going to tool around with it and probably write a list, keep the list in the car, and then when I get time just tick my way through it. I also put a bit of that trim cleaner on the rear bumper and the rear panel, and it actually looks really nice. So I'm still not convinced I'm going to fit that Jap spec one. might look a bit gammy. I'm not sure if 400's ever made it to Japan, so I don't know, we'll have a think about it, no hurry. Just got the car back to mine, cleaning out the boot, and it was full of water. So I think that's these areas here where the hinge compresses that down, just allowing water to get in. I can't see any other avenues for it. It's not coming through the window, but yeah, it's currently urinating stale fluid onto my drive, but never mind. Clearing out the boot. That's the original load liner. That would have been an optional part, spare, well, not spare part, optional extra, which is really nice because it's not split or cracked, which they usually do because they're not made of particularly robust plastic, particularly when they're old. That's nice to see. No rust in there. Obviously, I've just found, annoyingly, some rust along this lower lip, so I'm going to have to pull this rubber off, treat that. I'm not going to do any surgery on it at the moment, but it at least needs knocking back and protecting. Although that is quite annoying to find, it's, you know, at its earlier stages there's a hole here which is annoying, but it ain't the end of the world. What's really good is that this thin seam all the rest of the way round is perfect. That's excellent news, because I'd much rather be repairing that bit than this bit, which is a little bit more involved, a little bit more fiddly. So for the moment I'm just gonna grind off the worst of the rust and then rust treat it and then just leave it alone. I'll probably put some red oxide on it after I've treated it with hydrate 80. I have a rather fetching bed cover, brown tape and bubble wrap, and just, this is not a bodge, it's just that I don't have time to do anything other than this, but yeah, just can clean it up a bit. This might look like a horror show, but I am really pleased with this. Although this top panel has gone, that there hasn't even rusted. So this is the lower part of the boot floor which comes up and forms that seam. This is spot welded down onto it, and water has got in and rotted the top one away. But bizarrely, you mean that's still a spot weld there. This piece is perfect. That's still the original zinc treatment. It's as if this one has just rotted off the top, which is weird. I've never seen that before. That's the reinforcer for this hinge and striker plate. That's all perfect. Along here, same story. The bit on the top has disappeared. The bit underneath is okay, apart from a tiny bit there. So that is not going to be a big deal to sort. I just need to, I'll probably do it in 2 sections, just a 90-degree plug weld onto here, seam weld onto there, grind it down. It's all hidden by plastic trim anyway. The only annoying bit will be here, whether I bother replicating this sort of aperture thin bit or whether I just don't bother. Anyway, that's for another day, because as I say, I've got other things to do. I'm going to let that dry out a bit because it's still a bit damp in there. Then when that's dried, I'll go over it with hydrate 80 rust killer first, and when that's gone off, over the top with Bonder primer. That stuff is brilliant and it will last for ages with just that on. It's actually waterproof. Just let that dry off and picked off any really frilly bits. Now for the hydrate 80. Just, I love this stuff. It does do a good job. It can be a bit messy, so I might have to do it with 2 hands. That can do its thing. I'm going to go clean up the seal itself. Always the least fun but quite satisfying. All of this is crap that's come out of that seal where it had rusted. So I'm just going along picking it all out. I might also investigate whether you can get these new old stock, because once I have repaired it I don't want to put this rusty one back on. Just refitted the centre armrest which was out to do the handbrake. That's all back together. I'm missing the cover that goes down there, so I'll have to try and find one of those. It was never with the car when I got it. Next job really is to tidy up the interior. I've just got some interior wipes and leather wipes, and I'll have a crack at doing that. Pretty boring. Giving it a quick once over. To be honest, it doesn't look that different. I haven't done the seats yet, but I have done the dashboard and the centre console trims and things. And it does look nice, but it wasn't that bad to start with, so that was a result. But yeah, now moved on to cleaning and hoovering, and I cannot remember the last time I actually hoovered a car. Not my kind of deal. I'm normally fixing up really bad ones, not prettifying halfway decent ones. It makes a change, but yeah, I shall continue. It might be that these need a wet vac. These, you can see the green and the red up here is really nice, whereas down here it's a bit more faded, and that's probably just bum fat on there, which will need a good scrub. Maybe some, I don't know, insecticide, I think. That's all of the plastics done, and a good hoovering, looking much nicer. And back to, looks really good. Next, it's the leather seats themselves. They are actually leather, not plastic, which is what I kind of assumed they were. These are just normal leather wipes. I think I did this seat once before, just as a trial. They are in really good nick, these seats, so I'm very pleased. Particularly the rear. The rear, I mean, obviously this front bolster, they usually get a lot of wear and they split. But the rear, I just had the armrest down to hoover it. It is super lovely. You can't tell just from looking at me poke things. It's just super soft. It's like it's not really real leather. There is sort of chafage marks, and under the seat belts there's marks like that, but it does just come off. So it's quite satisfying to do. So I'll go over the whole lot, and then once I've done these, I'll get some leather balm from Halfords and something and treat them properly. Can't find the leather cream, so that'll have to wait till later. But basically, interior looking very nice indeed. Just the headlining is a bit sad. It isn't really sagging, but it's just got slight patination from mould, so that will need a bit of a clean. But I haven't worked out how to do that yet, because if you use steam, it'll just destroy the foam. So it might have to be a very damp sponge and just slight brush with a very soft nail brush, but we'll worry about that another time. The floor mat I discovered on my drive over here wants to slide around a lot, despite having little studs. It's very skiddy indeed, and that's not good. So I am going to stick very, very, very strong double-sided Velcro to the pad, and the plastic bit is stuck to the bottom of the car. This is proper heavy-duty stick-on stuff for tools, so it should be good. We will have a go and see what it does. That's well stuck down now. That ain't going anywhere. Happy with that. That's good. Didn't have to put any holes in the carpet either, and it will all clean off if anyone, or if I ever find the right floor mats. Next thing is the steering wheel. You might remember I was very pleased with myself having found a genuine original R8 leather steering wheel rather than the plasticky simulated leather one. This is so like my old Ford Orion gear, which had almost identical steering wheel, and this one is rather less worn, but my one on the Orion had worn away so that all the dimples had gone. It just looked utterly shit. This one, essentially the same design, but actual real leather. Very nice indeed. What I didn't appreciate is that they're actually slightly different sizes. So this new one, it's ever so slightly bigger in diameter, not by a lot, but it is ever so slightly, which it's super close, but I think maybe, I don't know whether it's just the leather wrap or what. But anyway, I'm going to swap them over. This I need to clean first because it's got loads of finger fat on it from other sweaty people. So I'll clean all that off. There's one bit that's particularly bad here, all along here. Rubby paw prints, so that will get cleaned off. I'll go and find a socket and shove it on there. What is this? 1992. Close enough. That is dirt that's just come off that bit there. It shows you how much gets impregnated into these things. Always forgot to show it off. That's very much nicer. I won't fondle it because I've been doing oily grubby things, and I'm about to do some painting because this has now dried, so I can go over it with the Bonder primer. Love this stuff. This will keep it solid enough. Also, it's red, which will make it less conspicuous. One thing that annoys me that I really want to fix is this driver's window. It doesn't go up or down. Passenger's does. Sunroof doesn't work. I've just checked all the fuses. Basically, there's no fuse issues. When I have the ignition on, I can hear relays clicking for the sunroof. Nothing happens. Occasionally, if I can hear a relay clicking in there sometimes when I press that window switch button, but it ain't happy. So I'm going to take the door card off because I know it's getting power, and see what's what. Door card is off as door cards go. That was remarkably easy. I've also taken the window switch off the back of the door card, so that can stay over there and I can fiddle around things here, so that can go back on in a minute. I'm just trying to familiarise myself with how this all works. Somewhere in here we'll have the power to the regulator, and I might go and get my power probe and just poke that and see if I can get it to actually do something. So I'll go find that, and I'll go find the right wires, so then it's independent of the switch. It's just me powering the regulator to see what it does. I don't have a wiring diagram for this car, which is somewhat annoying. What I think happens is power comes through the main door loom up through here to the window switch, then you press buttons, that then sends signals through this wire to this control unit, which feeds out into this one, which disappears off to the regulator, which is behind there. We have 4 wires, 2 chunky fat ones and 2 little ones, so presumably it's not just powering in reverse. They are 2 separate feeds, one to power down, one to power up. I don't know, but what I'm going to do is get my power probe and poke power in that. I don't think I can blow anything up, but it'll just be interesting to see what happens. I might not be able to get in there with the power probe because I've only got that bit of it, and then the crocodile clips. I might need to go and find a nail or a screw. I have made some progress. I don't know what the little wires do, but the big ones, and I'm juggling with hands and things. Basically, I've got the earth from the power probe bodged onto this old lead from a multimeter. Oh, hold on one moment. That's better. So I've got the power probe connected to the car's battery, the earth on one side of the fat wires, the power probe on the other one, and you can see I'm getting continuity because it's green, and I probably won't be able to do this one-handed. We shall try. What's that one? Oh, damn it. You can tell that I'm not a cameraman. So if I press that button, I can make the window go down. So it ain't the regulator, it's either the switch or it's that unit. Right, good news is, despite not having a wiring diagram, I think I've worked out what the problem is. Took the cover off this, looked around at it, couldn't see anything obvious, plugged it in and thought, well, I'll just start flexing it and moving it around, and the window actually did go down. So the only thing, it stopped working again now, but I think it is not this unit. I think it's that, because that was the only thing I fiddled with it sorry, and as soon as I did fiddle with it, it did something. So I think this is knackered. Can't see any dry soldered bits or anything obvious, so it's either a loose connection, a component failure, or it is that, but I don't know. So but to start off with, I'm going to try and get a new one of these and see if that makes any difference. For the moment, no, it's just started raining, which is typical because my electric window is now parked down, so I will now have to jump it back up with the power probe again. I'm packing up now because it's raining. That's something I really didn't need to buy, but I bought anyway because I thought I'd treat the car. It's a new old stock nice wheel brace and kit and thing, because the other one was looking a bit second hand and missing some of the tools, so that's nice to have. That can go back in. That's going to stay out to dry a bit more because it's still damp. That's the relay which I'll poke with tonight, and the rest of it is just tidy up time, so see you later.